Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Welcome to the Believe You Me podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Monday morning, and as always, lots of things to discuss, starting with Valentina Shevchenko potentially getting 10-8'd out of a title. You were there in the building, Mr. Smith. I don't want to ask you what was the crowd's reaction because, of course, it's a very pro-Mexican crowd. Fantastic event. I'm sure I'm assuming they cheered.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, it's not weird. They're all Mexican, the majority of them anyway.
Yeah, who cheers a draw?
But because Grasso still got the belt, that's why.
They booed the draw.
Yeah,
and then they were like, and still, like, which I thought was,
like, come on.
I thought that was weird, like that they and still and like announced her as still the champion. Like, of course that's true. Of course it's true, but it was just weird. Like the theatrics of it were weird to me. And then everyone went crazy, right? So, but yeah, it was a weird thing.
We'll get to the fight in a second. I thought it was hilarious when she was talking to DC and she's like, "I win," and DC goes, "Yeah, but it was a draw."
Yeah, she was like,
"That's so deadpan. I win." He's like, "It was a draw. It was a draw."
Did you see that guy? Speaking of DC, it just reminded me of when that guy asked DC what he thought. And then when DC started to answer, he pulled the microphone back and said, "It doesn't matter what you think."
Oh, yeah.
DC was like, "That's all right. I'll let you win."
Yeah. I think from what everyone was saying online, because as we know, I'm not a WWE fan, even though we spent 20 minutes in the last show talking about it. I think that was a reference to a rock reference.
It was, for sure. Yeah. But I don't think DC liked it.
No. Anyway, Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso too. Great fight. Fantastic fight. Well done to both ladies. We saw every element of mixed martial arts. It was very good, high pace, lots of action, lots of drama, especially with the decision. Real quick, I thought Shevchenko won the fight. I thought most rounds were close. Well, round one was extremely close, but I gave it to Shevchenko. The body kicks, she landed a few more shots. Close round, but I'd give it to Shevchenko. Round two, no question about it. Grasso drops her so hard that Shevchenko does a spinning back roll onto her feet. Right, Grasso takes that round. Round three, we had the guillotine attempt, the mounted guillotine. She takes the back.
That was tight too.
It was tight. Grasso's a tough piece of work. Almost said a tough B-I-T-C-H. Can't say that these days. But she's tough for getting out of that. Because that was locked in. That was under the chin. Yeah. Round four, I gave to Shevchenko because I thought that she landed more. And I think the stats show that, the striking stats. Round five, this is a tricky one because I'll now throw to you in just a sec. Round five, I mean, all right, okay, I'll accept a 10-9 Grasso. I still thought it was 10-9 Shevchenko. I thought even though, yes, of course, it ended terribly for her. She went for that head and arm choke and lost position, ended up mounted, took a few shots, and then had her back taken. I thought up until that was about 4 minutes of control with the jab and busting the nose up and all the rest of it. Close round. You can make an argument either way, right? Okay, so it's not a hill I'm prepared to die on.
You scored that for Shevchenko?
I thought Shevchenko got round five based upon the majority of the time she was winning the fight and landing the jabs and all the rest of it. But as I say, I'm not but a 10-8.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
That's absolutely crazy. I thought there was only three clear rounds. I thought round two, in my opinion, was clearly Grasso. Round three was at the mounted guillotine. Yep. Round three, clearly Shevchenko. Round five, I thought was good, at least for me, was clearly Grasso. So the other two rounds, I thought were they're swing rounds. Like I'm not going to argue with you either way. You know, like if you say it's Grasso and that person says it's Shevchenko, I think you're both right because they were both. Those are really, really close rounds. So I didn't actually know when it came time, but when we heard majority draw, I cannot believe that he scored that round to 10-8. That's absolutely insane to me. Absolutely insane.
It's wildly insane. And just quickly, because I often say this sometimes, I say, you know what, under the current criteria, that could be a 10-8 when I'm commentating. And people often come after me on Twitter and stuff like that. And even some of the commentators disagree. But the criteria, as we know, a 10-8 used to be you had to almost murder them. You had to beat them pillar to post for 5 rounds, almost get a finish, and the referee saying, fight back, fight back. That used to be a 10-8. Now, whether or not we like it, I didn't put this criteria in place. We all did a seminar with the commissions and the judges and the refs. The new criteria is if there's a clear winner, like you can look at it and say, yeah, without doubt, that person won. That's a 10-8. When it's close, and you say, I give it to that person. It's relatively close, but a close round, that's a 10-9. When there's a clear-cut, obvious winner, that's a 10-8. When somebody gets almost beaten to death, that's a 10-7, which we hardly, almost never see. I can't think of a time.
Right.
Can't think of a time. But that is the criteria from the seminar that I went to last year.
Me and Dean said this on the post show too. If the criteria is where there's almost a finish, and you know, like you said, where the referee's about to step in, or there's a dominant, like the criteria, if that's what you're going off of, you can make an argument that's a 10-8 round. But I think it's absolutely crazy. I think that's honestly, I think if you're going to give round 5 a 10-8, you definitely have to make it a 10-8 for round 2. Because I thought she was much closer to being finished in round 2 than she was in the 5th round.
No. Listen, she was in a bad position at the end of the 5th, that's for sure. But she escaped the mount, had a back taken. There was about, I don't know, I haven't watched it a second time, but 20, 25 seconds, which doesn't sound long, but it is a long time when someone's mounting you and pounding the shit out of you. It feels like a lifetime. Regardless, it was a close fight. But if that wasn't a 10-8, then Shevchenko would have won. That's where the real controversy comes in,
right.
You know? And maybe from what I just said, where I defined the criteria, it sounds like it could have been a 10-8. But even still under that criteria, I don't think it was a 10-8. I think for 3.5 minutes, Shevchenko was busting her face up with a jab and using good leg kicks. The pace had slowed, obviously. It's round 5. They're both tired. It's a championship fight. She was doing a lot of damage with the jabs and some of the shots she was landing. And then she took a bit of an ass whooping for about 30 seconds. You know what I mean? And then had a back take.
The way I looked at it was, in my opinion, Grasso was more dominant in the amount of time she was on the ground with her than Shevchenko was on her feet. Like, I thought it was more.
Say that one more time.
In that 5th round, I thought that Valentina was doing some good things early, but I thought, you know, if the gap between their striking in the 5th, I think the gap in the grappling was larger than the gap in the striking in that 5th round. I just thought Grasso was more dominant in those positions by taking her back. Like, she had Valentina in a position where all she could do was defend, and she was putting out no offense. At least when they're striking, Grasso is throwing back and still being offensive. That's how I judged it. Like, I thought she was more dominant in those grappling exchanges than she was on her feet. But either way, I feel terrible for Valentina Shevchenko. Like, and I love Alexa Grasso. I thought she was incredible. I thought that Alexa Grasso won the bigger moments in the fight.
Yep.
But Valentina was definitely the better fighter.
The way when you said the bigger moments, round 5, getting the mount, and there were some nice shots there.
Yeah. If you compile all the big moments that happened,
the way she dropped her, but round 3 again. Regardless, it was a close fight. Round 5 shouldn't have been a 10-8 in my opinion, and I think universally that's agreed. There's a lot of outcry from everybody, and because of that one judge, she's not the champion anymore. Now again, well done to Alexa Grasso. Tremendous fight from both ladies, and she's not in control of that. It's not her fault. Can't take it out on her, and I'm such a fan of her. Her facial expression, Grasso, never changes. And the same for Shevchenko, to be honest. But she looks like such, you know, like, I choose my words carefully, but she's like a cute little, you know, she doesn't look too dangerous, you know what I mean? But she is a badass in there. Do you know what I mean? She's sensational. But you got to feel for Shevchenko.
She's got a weird aura around her lately, too. Because I was working when she won the title, and it was very playful and very joyous, you know. When we had her on the pre-show, she's like pretty intense.
Yeah,
but she's pretty, and her paws, this girl's hands are huge. Like, And when she makes a fist, it's like the size of mine. Like her fist is not that much smaller than mine. I was like, Dean brought it up while we were at the desk, and she just kept putting them up, like just holding them like super intense. I'm like, God damn, she's ready to fight right now. She's super intense. She has this champion aura around her right now. It's cool to see her grow like that.
It's a shame for Shevchenko, and I think the bigger shame is that it doesn't sound like Grasso is too interested in a rematch. And I understand.
Would you be?
No, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? But I think the natural event of things, given that it was such a close fight and it was a draw, one would assume that they would go and do another rematch. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Tyrone Woodley versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That was a draw, right? So they did a rematch.
I think Figueiredo and Moreno fought to a draw one time too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's why they ended up having 4 fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no need for a fourth. I think one more would be right. I understand the fact that she's just gone through a war and DC's saying about a rematch, you know, right? You don't want to immediately commit to that. I understand that. So she kind of deflected by using the manager and the coaches, you know. But what do you think for your money? For my money, I think the appetite will be there. I think they do have unfinished business. And I think Valentina, for the great champion that she's been, and not only that, for the way she's flown the flag for female mixed martial arts, I think she deserves another shot. Yeah,
I think we need some. It needs to be concluded. There's more. There's left. At least for me, there's more to be seen. Like I want to see more, because I thought that Grasso didn't fight that great. If I'm being honest, I left wanting to see more rounds with those two, like watching Grasso, and that could have been, you know what, that's very likely that it's Valentina made the adjustments and made her look like that. But I thought her range was off. She wasn't getting her jab going. I think we could see a better fight out of both of them, which I'm really excited about because I thought that one was great.
I hope they do it again, you know, but then obviously that brings us to a conversation of things like, which there has been a lot of talk, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, although that is different because Izzy lost 2 out of his last 3 to 2 different people. So the same argument for my money doesn't necessarily apply there. Obviously, Aljamain Sterling, you know, he's out there. He's saying if Izzy gets a rematch against Sean, then he should get one against Sean.
Which I agree with.
And again, I tend to agree with as well.
Yeah, I think Aljo's more deserving than Israel. Respect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, same.
With respect to Izzy, I think Aljamain is much more deserving. I
think the fact that, Izzy lost 2 out of his last 3, and we talked about this at the time, you know. Yeah. I think the best scenario for Sean, just to reiterate that, I think it's the best scenario for Sean to fight him again right now. Yeah. Not because Izzy deserves it. I think for Sean, I think he can go out there, he can beat him straight away. It doesn't give Izzy a chance to get his mojo back against someone else and rebuild that confidence. You know what I mean? Yeah. Close the chapter, close the book, get the big pay-per-view points against the biggest star in the division, because that is Izzy without a question. Right. And then move on to the rest of the division. It's going to be interesting on going back to Shevchenko to see.
It is. I hope she gets it. But then that does put us in a weird position if Shevchenko wins. They'd be 1-1-1. Then what? Then you got to have a fourth fight. Figueiredo
and Moreno all over again. You know, I'll be honest, that fight was brilliant, though. It really was.
Yeah, I thought they were great.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing a third or a fourth.
Yeah, I think that they're really competitive. I love rematches at the highest level to see who made the bigger adjustments, to see who's changed, and I thought Valentina was much more aggressive. Her reaction time looked better. She looked a little bit faster. I thought Grasso showed more of a dog in this fight than she had to in the last one. I thought she took some clean jabs. She took some hard shots. Last time she fought most of the fight in southpaw. This time she went back and forth more and was even in orthodox a bunch. But every time she would go orthodox, Valentina would throw the body kick and she'd switch back. It was a lot of fun to see this chess match happen. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It sounded like a lot of fun from the crowd as well. I know the commentary, they kept cutting to, you probably weren't aware of it in the building unless you were listening to program. They kept cutting to the Mexican feed. Do you know what I mean?
Ponzinibbio was going crazy.
Yeah, Ponzinibbio, and then the other dude, I forget his name off the top of my head, but yeah, no, it's great. There's something about when Mexicans commentate a sport.
When they get excited.
Have you seen that skit or that scene in The Simpsons? Did you used to watch The Simpsons? Oh, right. No, so they're taking the piss out of football, soccer. And, it's got some Americans commentating soccer, right? And they're going, number 9 passes to number 6. 4 passes to 2, and they're both bored out of their head. I think one's smoking a cigarette, and then it cuts to like the Mexicans commentating, and they're doing the same thing. They're going out of their mind, you know what I mean? But the Americans are bored out of their head.
It's fun watching him too. Like it looks like Ponzinibbio. I wish I could remember the other guy's name. Now I feel like he's the referee for the jiu-jitsu thing too.
That's right.
But I sit during the main event or the main card. I sit in between Fabiano and Dean Thomas at their table, which is directly behind the Spanish guys, and they're the whole time. That's what I can't hear what they're saying, but I can see that they're losing their minds over the entire fight. But they look like they're two guys in a bar hanging out because Ponzinibbio's hitting him every time something happens, and he's like, "Look at that! Look at that!" He's just losing his shit. But it's funny watching them interact with each other.
I do like that about Jon Anik as well. When Jon Anik's commentating, when you watch him, when he's doing his reads at the beginning, when they stand there, he's so animated, he's so into it. You can see the passion that he has. Jon Anik, shout out to that guy. So listen, regardless, it's not our decision. We'll have to wait and see what they do there. For my money, they should do the rematch, and I think a lot of people feel like that. Jack Della Maddalena got the job done against Kevin Holland. I saw some complaints on Twitter saying it looked like a sparring match. I thought it was a good fight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought Kevin Holland gave a good account of himself. He looked good. He looked dangerous. As always, it's kind of like the way we predicted it. He's going to get on the inside. He's going to use the boxing. That's exactly what he did. There was no real takedown attempts. I think there was one shot from Holland, which was stuffed. The only critique I would say about Jack is that he would do a really good job of closing the distance and getting on the inside of Kevin Holland, right, landing shots, and then he would back all the way out again. Do you know what I mean? You do all that work to get in, he'd land a good shot, he'd rip to the body, come upstairs, and then he'd go all the way out. Now, I do understand Holland's dangerous with the knees and the elbows that range. Yeah, the elbows. You do all that work to get on the inside, and then he would back off again straight away, and you got to kind of restart and reset.
Well, I had the same critique where he would get in and then he would bail. It seemed to me, and I don't know, I wish I could have asked him while we were at the desk, because I just, when we had him up there, and I meant to ask him and I got distracted and there was no way to squeeze it in. And I felt like it was more of a personal question. It had less about like the broadcast, and I don't think anyone at home cared, but it seemed to me like Kevin Holland would start to throw the elbows, and early in the fight, he'd get on the inside, he'd lay in those big body shots, come up top of some hooks to finish, and he would want to continue, and then Kevin Holland would start to throw the elbows. So Jack's reaction was to clinch, which is seemingly because his corner was sitting right near me. As soon as they would clinch, his corner would lose their minds. Like, you got to bail, you got to get out of there, back out, you got to pummel. They didn't want him in the clinch with Kevin Holland at all. So I think his defense to the elbows was to clinch, and then they wanted him out of the clinch. So then he just started bailing completely. So I don't know what it was about Kevin Holland's clinch game that, he's dangerous. I mean, he's good, but they didn't want to be there.
And he's long. And anytime someone's got that height advantage and the length advantage like that, it's easy to get knees up the middle. It's easy to land those elbows.
Well, I don't think that they want to end up on the ground with Kevin Holland. I think that's a big problem too. If Kevin's able to get to a body lock and trip, got a lot of respect for Basil, but Kevin Holland is a little bit of a different finisher than Basil is.
Brush, shout out, bomb.
With that fucking cartoon. I remember now. I think that
got shit in the comment section. People are like, how do you think we don't know what Basil Brush is? There's a lot of people from England watch the podcast. Yeah, I know you dickheads, but we don't want to talk about Basil Brush. We're primarily a mixed martial arts podcast, okay? We're not here to reminisce about cartoons from the 80s or puppet shows.
At least I remember though. But yeah, I think Kevin's a different finisher. He's got those long arms, lots of chokes. I just don't think they wanted to be there. That's my guess. I'd love to ask Jack and myself, but
I love watching the boxing of Jack Della Maddalena, though. Yeah. It is beautiful. I think it's some of the best. The way he was ripping to the body, coming up top. Kevin Holland's got one hell of a chin, man, because he never looked hurt. Although there was times where his head definitely got knocked back and stuff like that, but he does a really good job of rolling with the punches. And then on top of that, he's as tough as they come. I mean, and when you look at him against Jack, because Jack's not a small guy for 170, but Kevin Holland just looks like a goddamn monster. Of course, he fought at 185, but the chin, man, he has one hell of a chin, and he's a fun guy. It was funny. I think I saw Jack was saying, like in there, he was like, hey man, we should train together sometime and this and that, you know what I mean? After this, we should, train. And it was like bringing down the killer instinct of Jack a little bit. Yeah. It's like, what's going on? This guy's talking to me. He's being friendly. He's inviting me to go train. Yeah. We should get a beer sometime, bro. High five. And he's like, what the f***'s going on?
He said at the desk, Kevin said, hey man, when you're in America, we should train together. And Jack he said that he was like trying to keep that killer instinct. And he was like, I'm in America right now, motherfucker. And just tried to, he tried his best, but his coaches were yelling at him about it for sure.
Have you ever had someone in a fight shouting at you or talking to you? I'm trying to think. Not really for me. I can't necessarily think of a time. I remember once when I fought Chainsaw Charles McCarthy in my middleweight debut, going back a long time now. He was like goading me on a little bit and talking a little bit of shit, saying, come on, because he wanted to shoot a double leg on me. You know what I mean? But I think that's one of the only times, and I'm jealous because it looks so fun. When you see them talking, there's something about it. They're punching the shit out of each other. But when they start talking trash, it makes it so more entertaining.
Oh, it is. I totally agree. I think I did have one guy in Bellator long time ago in between my UFC stints. His name was Brian Green. He's a guy from Des Moines. And
Iowa.
Yeah, I was really tired. Like
see in the
first, yeah. See, smart guy.
Yeah,
I was really tired after the first. I had a really high output. I kind of beat the shit out of him, but in the second, the third round, I just took him down and just ground and pounded him. But in the third round, I just laid on him because I was tired. So I just held him down. Yeah. So I remember him looking at like the camera and like talking shit to me, but he kept saying, this guy's supposed to be a striker, but he just laid on me the whole time. Why are you just laying on me? But like he was talking shit, but like kind of hurting my feelings because he was right.
Exactly. He's like, bro, come on,
man. I'm fucking tired, man.
So well done to those guys. Kevin Holland's wasted no time, though. He's calling out Neil Magny, apparently. Harrington, give us a little bit of color on that. Give us the quotation.
Can we leave him alone? Everyone's calling out Neil Magny. Leave that man alone.
Harrington, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing absolutely excellent. Happy to be here on a Monday on the Believe You Me podcast.
Did you shower today?
No, I showered last night, though, right before bed.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Let's talk about this real quick, because there's people that do that. They shower before bed. Like my wife's one of these people. Yeah, even if I shower before bed, I still got to take a shower in the morning. I got to feel fresh. I got to wipe off the sweat. I got to reinvigorate my soul. I've got to wake up properly. I guarantee if I was to whiff your armpits right now, Harrington, there would be nighttime sweat.
No grosser than your bed sheets, though. I can't get into bed feeling dirty.
But then you're going to lie in those sheets all night and then not shower in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything today.
But it's bringing the outside into your bed, you know?
Yeah.
So like I shower before I go to sleep too.
See, smart people.
I have a wife though that regularly changes the sheets.
I don't have like I feel like kind of like a loser. I don't really have a routine. Like I just shower when I'm dirty. So sometimes it's at night, sometimes it's in the morning.
And I mean, my wife's like a Nazi with like, she's like very hardcore on cleanliness, which she should be. You know what I mean? Like everything gets washed way too much and all the rest of it. She has never once in 24 years said, I don't want you getting into bed without showering because you're going to bring in your slime and your bacteria that you've accumulated throughout the day. You know what I mean? Is this a new phenomenon that I'm not aware of?
I don't know.
I mean, if I was working out and I was sweaty, sure, shower. If I went to work on a construction site, 100%. I'm just gliding around the house doing podcasts. You know what I mean? I've showered here. I've got the gel in my hair. I'll get back in bed right now. Ain't no bacteria coming off me, bro. Anyway, what did Kevin Holland say?
So Kevin Holland hopped on Instagram. Apparently, a lot of people were giving him a lot of junk after the Jack Della Maddalena loss. He said, sorry, couldn't get the job done. For those that are still riding with me, I want to get right back to it. And I said, Neil Magny, hair versus hair. So loser has to get a haircut.
Yeah, no, that's right. I did see something about that. Why would anyone? Were people actually talking shit, or were they just having a bit of fun?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. People don't realize
it's a fight. Jack Della Maddalena is good. That guy's really good.
He's absolutely no joke. I mean, if you look at these
back-to-back split decisions, though, that guy's kind of riding by the hair on his ass. Right now.
Well, knockout in his debut. Knockout against Ramazan Eve. That was a good win. Knocked out Danny Roberts. Submission on Rude Boy Randy Brown. Basil Brush Chavez split. Kevin Holland split. But, no shame there. No shame.
Yeah, two tough fights.
Two tough fights. And then we had the 18-year-old sensation. I was talking about this. I did a little video on my YouTube channel. You got to give it to this guy, Raul Rosas Jr. Hey, what were you doing? At 18 years old, where were you in your life, Anthony?
I was fighting as an amateur.
Right.
And I was not very good.
No, but where were you in terms of dedication and discipline and messing around? I
was happy to wake up every day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Happy to be alive. Yeah.
At 18 years old, not only to walk out there in front of all those crowds. And by the way, he made his UFC debut at 18. He's had 3 UFC fights, 1 contender, 3 UFC fights, and he's still 18, if I'm not mistaken. Unless he made his debut at 17.
No, I think his birthday was Saturday. I think it was his 19th birthday. So he just turned 19.
Well, still, the point still stands.
Yeah, it's same point. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I think when he was on Contender, he was 17.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, right? but still unbelievable. I mean,
it's insane
to apply that kind of dedication, that he's doing at his age. Unbelievable inspiration for a lot of young kids out there to show what you can truly do. I mean, like Lucas is 13. That's 5 years older. Callum is 4 years older. Do you know what I mean? It's just insane. Went out there, beat Terrence Mitchell.
He was born in 2004.
2004. That's when I made my UFC debut or my MMA debut. Dropped him with that big right hook, got in the mount, destroyed him, one-way traffic.
Yeah. It was such a good performance. There's really not much to say. Like he just went out there and did whatever he wanted to do and got him out of there quick. It was pretty fast.
I feel for Terrence Mitchell. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't me that said this. I'm watching, and Rebecca goes, "No, it was Lucas." Because Lucas doesn't really want to watch the fights, but I force him because he's training MMA. I'm like, sit down and watch some of these fights. You're training it. Have a little bit of understanding and watch it and understand the context of the moves that you're learning. And he goes, "Oh God, you got to feel bad for that guy. He's 33. He's just got beaten by an 18-year-old." And I was like, when you put it like that, poor old Terrence, poor guy.
I don't know what it is. I just find myself feeling bad for him, but I can't put my finger on why. I don't know why.
He got smoked in what was it? 54 seconds. Yeah, poor guy. It's always annoying that because when fortunately, I got starched in my last fight early in round 1, but never that quick. 54 seconds, that's quick. Yeah. Like you start having these emotions afterwards that I could have just not even trained.
Yeah.
And I still would have got the same result. All that hard work and effort was for nothing. The reality is it's not for nothing because you parlay all that hard work and the improvement in technique that you made into your next fight. But that's kind of like the depression and the downside that starts setting in after a fight.
No, totally agree. And I've had those same exact thoughts. Like, I don't even know why I fucking wasted all the time training. I can lose and not train. Same result. It's frustrating. It's a frustrating sport.
All right, guys, are you tired of wasting your money on testosterone boosters that just don't work? Look, I don't blame you. That is why our new sponsor, Nugenix Total T, lets you try before you buy. They will give you a complimentary sample for free when you text 231-231 and enter the code BELIEVE. Okay, lots of men, we're getting older. Okay, we're getting the dad bod, the lack of energy. You're not quite as virile. You just don't feel the same. You're putting weight on, the energy sucks, right? But you can take care of that. Listen, we all lose our testosterone as we get older. That's natural. The man hormone, it kind of fades away, okay? The source of fire fades. But Nugenix Total T will boost your testosterone levels and help you feel better at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom. There's nothing like Nugenix Total T and nothing better. Look, Nugenix Total T testosterone booster with testofen will help you turn back the clock and re-energize your life. But don't take our word for it. You can try before you buy. If it works, keep it. If not, keep the sample. You literally have nothing to lose, but you could gain energy, muscle, drive, and more passion. Get your complimentary sample when you text 231-231 and enter the code word believe. Nugenix is the #1 doctor recommended brand and the #1 selling testosterone booster brand at GNC and Walmart. And that's for a reason. Nugenix Total T can help you re-energize your life. You can get back the powerful, confident, and good-looking warrior that you used to be. And look, don't be misled. Most of these products, they profess quality, but many use generic ingredients that are far less than clinical grade. With Nugenix Total T, you get premium key ingredients at the exact powerful clinical potency levels used in trials. A Nugenix formulation is backed by years of science and research. And if you're not totally satisfied, Nugenix will refund 100% of your purchase price plus shipping and processing. Now, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text 231-231 and enter the code word believe. Text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest and most powerful fat incinerator available with key ingredients to help you lose weight, fat, and get lean. Absolutely free. Text 231-231, enter the code word believe. One more time, text 231-231 for your free sample. Code word is believe. By the way, texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates apply. #1 doctor recommended brand by primary care physicians based on independent survey conducted by the IQVIA 2022. Let's real quick before we move on. We're not going to go through all the fights there. Well done to everyone that won. There was a little bit of controversy around the Edgar Chairez and Daniel Lacerda. Let's talk about this because which way around was it? Edgar Chairez, I think, had him in a standing arm in guillotine, right? He had him in a standing arm in guillotine effectively, right? No need to argue the finer nuances.
Well, no, I just don't even know if I call it a guillotine. It didn't look like he was even choking.
No, but that was like kind of the position he had.
Yeah, it was like a funky ass guillotine front headlock. It was weird. Now let's talk about the stoppage because we've all seen it and we all know what we're talking about. The referee stepped in and thought that Lacerda was choked out because he's almost there. And I will say this in the referee's defense, and I disagree with what happened, and it's a real shame, more importantly for both men, because they went through a training camp and it was a no contest or a no decision. Call it a no contest. But still, whatever, no decision. I'd say it was no contest, whatever. But when the arm kind of goes, it did go limp like that. Do you agree? I agree. I know what I seen what the ref seen.
Same.
What I disagree with is him not checking it.
Yeah. Normally they shake it.
Right. Well, and he was early. That's what I don't understand. Like Lacerda had his hands in there and the referee would go to touch it. And they tell you, and I guess to pull the curtain back for some of the people, a lot of times when you're stuck in chokes, they don't want you to have to say anything.
Well, it's not our job to relay to the referee. You know, like some people give a thumbs up, like Izzy did against Sean. Thumbs up. Hey, I'm good. It's not our job to relay to the referee that we are still good. It's not our responsibility.
But it helps. It does help. So a lot of times what referees will do, if you have two hands on a choke, right? Say you're belly down or whatever, and he can't see your face. If the referee comes in and he pulls your hand and you just tug back just a little bit, that's you telling him, I'm still conscious. So like he's not going to interfere, but if he can touch you and you retract or he pushes on your arm and you push back a little bit, like that's enough to not get yourself in trouble, but also relay to him that you're okay and that you're not currently receiving brain damage from being unconscious. So he was doing that early. He reached in a couple times and like just touched the hand for a second to make sure that there was some tension on it, and he was good. But then when it drops, why not check one more time? It's a choke. Like if that's the moment that you went out, it's not going to hurt him to wait an extra 2 or 3 seconds. Like it's or even a 1.5 second beat, just enough to check his hand and see if he's awake. Is that
we see it here? It's a bad. Hold on. Wait.
See, he's in there. He's checking. See, he's checking. He's trying to get the. And then I don't know.
That did look suspicious, though. I mean,
agreed.
I say suspicious. It's a bad look because the arm legit went limp, like it would be an unconscious person. You know, so I feel for Chris Tognoni because number one, he's a good referee. He's a good guy. He's a good referee. He's very good at his job, and the refereeing's a very hard job, right? They have to make these split-second calls.
Do you think that there's a possibility that he did go out
and came back?
And the second that because he got to it so fast,
because the blood
rushed back in his brain, and he was awake. So like. I think he started to go out. Like it's a possibility that he started to go out. The arm dropped, and then when they released the pressure, he wasn't all the way out. Like I think it's a possibility. I mean,
only Lacerda can answer that, and to be honest, he probably can't answer it because he probably wouldn't be aware. You know what I'm saying? Those situations you don't understand necessarily, and if he did go out, sometimes you don't know. Like you've seen it. You know what I mean? Whenever I've been knocked out or whatever, you're like, what happened? Right. What day is it? Where are we? Oh, we're in the
I've gone out in training sessions before and finished the grappling round because they didn't realize I was out. You know, like they're on a guillotine. I kind of go out a little bit and then they think that they didn't have it. So they let go of it. And I'm like passing guard as I'm waking up like, whoa, I didn't remember that.
You don't know shit. Like I remember, I told this story and it's true. It's true. When I fought Chael Sonnen, right? I don't know if it was round one. I think round one, he took me down and I was getting back to my feet and he landed a really couple of good hard shots on the inside as I was getting back to my feet. And he hit me with this shot. And for a split second, I was transported, right? And I was like, I was in a field and it was sunny as hell and I was riding a bike. I swear to God. And then I kind of came back too with another punch and I'm in the octagon. I'm like, shit.
I really like that bike.
I'm like, take me back. That looked lovely. I was about to bang out and bust out the picnic. Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell. So, like, so fighters, Lacerda probably doesn't know. And of course, he's going to be adamant. I did, honestly. That's not a lie. I was telling my buddy a while ago.
Good. I've never heard that. Have you told that before?
I don't think I have. No. Yeah, I did. I was on a bike. It was a sunny field. It was a sunny day. I'm riding my bike through a field and then, I got hit again. I'm like, come in a fight. Shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's great.
It's a shame because Chris Tognoni, look, listen, it's a shame for the fighters first and foremost. It is because both of them did a training camp to not get a conclusive decision, you know, a conclusive result, should I say. You do feel for Chris Tognoni because there was no malice in his actions. He thought he was doing the right thing.
No, he's trying to keep him safe.
You have to make split-second judgments, you know what I mean? So it's tough and it's easy for us sitting at home where there's no pressure. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was saving him, but you could see the look on his face. He was very sheepish. He's got everyone going after him now online and all the rest of it.
But
he messed up. He did.
How humble of a man though to go and watch the replay, realize that he made a mistake, and then come back in and stand face to face with the fighter and say, listen, I thought you were out and I was wrong. I apologize. Yeah. Like right then and there. He could have he could have said, fuck what the camera looks like. Like he was out. He could have said
but for those that don't know, we have review officials. And I think anytime like that, anytime there's a little bit of controversy, all the referees or the head referee and Mark Ratner, head of regulatory affairs, they're looking at everything. So he's got no choice. He can't just say, bollocks, I'm pressing on, guys. I'm not even going to acknowledge it because all the powers that be and the Association of Referees and Regulatory Affairs, they're all looking into it. It was like in Paris recently. In Paris. Mark Ratner's the man. He's such a lovely guy.
I've never seen anybody like walk by Mark Ratner without him making sure that he says hi, shakes your hand. I was going to sit down and he's seen me and he stood up and congratulated me on my last fight, but he almost seems like Mark Ratner is treated like he's the most important person in the room.
Well,
And like that's kind of how I feel. Like the respect that everyone has for him.
Well, I always call him Mr. Ratner. I never call him Mark.
I never. It's always Mr. Ratner.
I always shake his hand. Hello, Mr. Ratner. How are you, sir? You know, he's been around the boxing and combat sports world forever. I mean, he's clearly a very senior gentleman, and he's a lovely guy, and he's very good at his job. And he was a big part of pushing the sport forward in those early days and getting it sanctioned by the athletic commissions when it wasn't recognized by all the governing bodies and things like that. So he played a big part in it. But still, that was a shame. It really, really was a shame. You know what else is a shame, Anthony?
What?
That people like, well, the greatest mixed martial artists of all time don't get the respect that they deserve. Talking about Jon Jones, you know, like you watch the Rocky film, and at the end of it, the adrenaline's flowing. You shadow boxing, you know, I reckon I could do this. You know, you watch a little bit of fucking kung fu on TV. You're like, whoa, I'll Bruce Lee the shit out of someone. You have a few beers down the pub. Right. You know what I mean? You get a bit fresh. I could take it.
I could do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now there's basketballers out there claiming that with a year's training, they could beat Jon Jones in a fight. Brian, roll the tape, please.
Defense. I just need ground defense.
I think the scary thing, because we're big athletes, it's like, okay, JJ can move how you move, and he's 6'8". Right. That's the scary part, like where, okay, he can do everything you do, and he's 6'8". Like that's where the big difference comes in.
Yeah, and the opposite is he started learning how to use your hands and your feet, after college. Like I've been punching and kicking since I was 5-6 years old. So like the same thing for me though is the opposite for him, because he been wrestling for that long, learning all his wrestling moves and things like that for that long. For me, you know what I mean? I started learning the wrestling game and all that in middle school, the jiu-jitsu. You know, he has a big advantage there because no one wants to get on the floor, but as long as I can keep him from going on the floor, I'll win.
Do you know who that is, by the way? I know he's a basketballer, NBA star, apparently called James Johnson, but I don't really follow the sport.
No, I don't give he's 8'8". So Jon Jones would change that guy's life.
He will destroy him in a heartbeat, right? Because he's like, I'm 6'8". That's like saying, and by the way, I did a YouTube video on this last night.
John's 6'6".
6'4", I think, 6'4".
I'm 6'4".
But I did a video on it.
At least 2 inches taller than me.
And I haven't published it because I thought I was being too mean. You know what I mean? Because I ripped him a new one, because there's an article on Sports Illustrated about it, which gives a bit more detail, right? And apparently this guy is a black belt in some kind of martial art, and he's had 7 MMA fights that are undocumented, and he's had 20 kickboxing fights, and he was a champion, which are all undocumented. And if you go to Tapology and you put in James Johnson, it's not to be found. There's a lot of James Johnsons, none that are 7-0, that are undefeated, that are 6'8". Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's 8'12".
Yeah. And if you have a fight, I got to give it to Tapology and Sherdog, those fighter databases.
Go find it.
It could be some random Russian dude competing in Mongolia. One little fight and the shittest promotion, they'll find it. It'll be on there. You know, none of it's documented. We've all got a friend in England. You know, you'll go compete in some sports hall. There'll be 7 people watching. Yeah. You know, you beat some guy that's never trained in his life, and you're a world champion. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We've all got those mates. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Just because you've done that a couple of times when you were younger does not mean with a year's worth of training, you can go out and beat Jon Jones, the greatest of all time. And
I'm also mad at him for forcing us to defend Jon Jones. Yes. But for the sport and for Jon's accomplishments and the things that he's done, he deserves it. That guy is a fucking idiot. Does it work the opposite way? If we train, or Jon trains basketball for a year, he's going to come over and he's going to win an NBA title? I don't think so. That's not how it works. That guy's spent.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, he's trained his entire adult life to fight, and his entire childhood as a wrestler, learning how to fold clothes while people are still wearing them. You are not going to do anything to Jon Jones. Jon Jones would beat him however he wanted without just breaking a sweat. And you have no chance. You don't have enough time left on this earth to close the wrestling gap that there is between you and Jon.
Never in a million years. It's like me saying, I was going to say the same thing. I'm 6'2". It was like, if I just had a few more inches and you give me a year's training, learning how to dribble and shoot the ball a little bit, one eye or not, with no depth perception. Oh, I could do it. You give me a year. They would laugh their heads off. Right? And then he says, all I got to do is learn how to stop the takedowns. All I need is a year. Oh, really? He's done a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Let me ask you this. And some people are going to disagree with this, and I've got a very strong opinion on it. By the way, that guy's out of his mind. Yeah, utterly out of his mind. Delusional. He might be a tough guy. I'm sure
he should fly to Omaha, and we'll teach him how hard it is.
I'm sure he's the type of guy, that can handle himself. He is 6'8". To be fair, this guy never won an NBA title or made an All-Star team. So maybe Jon Jones could be as good as him in the NBA. Yeah, you're right, Harrington.
That's fair.
Be fair. Yeah, it might be better. You never know. I'm sure he's a tough guy. I'm sure he can fight. Obviously, he can because he's saying these kind of outlandish things. He says, all I've got to do is learn. I've got jiu-jitsu. I've got striking. I'm 6'8", bro. And it's that dickhead Bradley Martin that started all of this.
Yeah.
But
he's 6'8".
Yeah, but he's 6'8". He says, all I've got to do is learn the wrestling side of things. Give me a year. Learning to wrestle, and he's going to piss a lot of people off, learning to wrestle is harder to learn jiu-jitsu. Agree or disagree?
It's harder to learn how. You're saying it's harder to learn how to wrestle than to do jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Agree.
100% agree.
Agree.
You can be shown how to do an armbar off your back and all these type of things. You can get that down pretty quick. All right, doing it in a live competition may be different, But I remember because I started doing Japanese jiu-jitsu when I was a kid, and a lot of that incorporates a lot of judo. I've got all the Japanese terminology. Oh, goshi, oh, sotogare, kosotogare. You got to learn the Japanese terminology. Point I'm making is that my brain was formatted to grappling, right? I did a lot of jiu-jitsu ever since I was a kid. But when I started to learn to wrestle in my mixed martial arts career, it was like a completely different language. I remember getting shown a single leg and just being like, this doesn't work. It doesn't work. What do you mean? They're not going down. It's very, very hard to learn to wrestle. And you cannot do 1 year and stop Jon Jones.
Here's a better way of maybe saying it where people won't give you as much shit.
I don't care. Give me shit, bro.
It's harder to be good at wrestling than it is to be good at jiu-jitsu for sure. I don't know about the ease and difficulty of learning it, but it's much harder to be like world-class at wrestling than it is jiu-jitsu. That's for sure. Wrestling is so fucking hard. I've been doing it my whole life.
It's the hardest.
And I'm still not good at it.
Mixed martial arts. It's the hardest part.
I'm still not good at it. I've been wrestling since I was a little kid, and I'm not good at it. So this goddamn nerd is gonna do it for a year and beat Jon Jones with it. I would pay lots of money.
6'8", bro.
To watch that, I would honestly.
6'8",
I hope this world exists and he tries, because it would be really fun to watch Jon Jones change that guy's life.
I mean, let's look at this. Tyson Fury is 6'9". And widely regarded as the best heavyweight boxer of his generation. He's got most of the heavyweight belts. And I think collectively people agree that if Tyson Fury was to fight Jon Jones in a cage, that Jon Jones would manhandle him and make short work of him and take him down.
That's a great point. Tyson Fury.
And he's a fighter.
And he can actually fight.
And he's 6'9".
He could actually fight. And he says, no, I'm not fighting Jon Jones in an MMA fight. You're crazy.
Yeah.
But this guy has never probably been in a real fight in his whole life. No, a real fight. Like, not this, some guy pushed you in a club and you pushed him back.
But bro, he's pushed a few people on the basketball court. He's puffed his chest out. He's been hard. He might have got sent off once or twice. He's crazy, bro.
And he was sitting in the locker room by himself, wait for his team. Jeez. Super tough guy, man. Ooh, he probably is the toughest guy of all of his friends. That's how this shit happens.
Yeah, it is.
That's how this happens. He's the toughest guy in his group of buddies.
And he fucked 2 people at once in a bar.
Yeah. I bet he did too.
And he's going after Jon Jones.
He's 6'8".
What's this? Harrington's back in the chat. He was known as the toughest guy in the NBA for a lot of his career.
That's like being king of the nerds. You're still a nerd.
I will say this. So Roy Hibbert played for the Sixers, Philadelphia, for a long time, and we're buddies, right? I'm going to get him on the show sometime because he knows a lot about MMA, trains jiu-jitsu, and he's 7'2", right? He's a big dude. Yeah. And I remember just looking at him once because he's 7'2". You look at him because he's so long. You think that he's skinny and lanky and all the rest of it. But I remember once we were sitting in a restaurant and I was just looking at his body. And even though he's got a long neck, which again, I say kind of makes the appearance to be long and lanky, like his neck was about this big. His arms were gigantic. He's a giant human being. I was like, if he learned a little bit, he would be a goddamn pain in the ass if he flipped out one day. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But the other guy's only 6'8", so don't worry.
He's only 6'8".
He's only 6'8".
The toughest. I can't. Tarrington, you got to delete that out of the chat every time I read
Harrington,
it.
Harrington, who's the top 3 tough guys in the NBA?
Well, Nate Robinson was until Jake Paul took care of him.
Yeah, the guy that Jake Paul knocked out.
No. I don't know. I was reading up on this James Johnson guy.
Wait, were you serious about Nate Robinson?
No, I was kidding.
I was like, let's hope.
No, so I was reading like a bunch of stuff, and there are like a lot of quotes from NBA players saying like, "Oh, don't mess with James. He knows karate and stuff."
Ooh, karate.
So he's really good.
Absolutely.
Well, now that changes everything.
It really does. It changes everything about me, and I apologize in advance.
We're gonna have a bunch of basketball players and beat the shit out of us.
All right, guys, I want to tell you about Kachava, which is one of our newest sponsors, and I am telling you, this supplement, this super blend of superfoods and greens and proteins and everything that you need for your body is amazing. Listen, long gone are the days now where you have to go in and you got to have a protein powder, you got to have your super greens, you got to have your probiotics, your adaptogens, your antioxidants. Kachava has blended it all together in one. It gives you everything that your body craves and you will feel your absolute best. And the good thing is they are delicious. They are absolutely beautiful. It's creamy, smooth, and it comes in 5 delicious flavors. They've got the chocolate, the vanilla, the chai, the matcha, and the coconut acai. Listen, as I said, before you had to have your protein. Well, this has 25 grams of plant protein per serving. And as I said, it's got the superfoods, it's got the greens, the proteins, the antioxidants, the adaptogens, and the probiotics. And let me tell you, you feel fantastic after this. I'm really noticing a difference in my recovery from lifting weights. It's really helping with the protein synthesis. You feel great afterwards. You are energized throughout the day. I'm going to the bathroom nice and regularly, and it looks good when it's coming out. Anyway, moving on from that because it's disgusting, but this stuff is fantastic. Get it all in one. Get all the goodness and all the vitamins, minerals, proteins that your body needs in one little scoop of Kachava, and you can get 10% off for a limited time. So right now, go to kachava.com, Kachava, kachava.com/believe. You'll get 10% off your first order. Kachava.com/believe. Harrington, give us a non-MMA story. Let's talk about this. Harrington, give us the lowdown on the latest offering from Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, fall is here, Mr. Bisping. So that means it's pumpkin spice season. Dunkin' Donuts has added this pumpkin spice swirl frozen coffee. Like they used to call them coffee culottes. Now it's like a frozen coffee.
Awful, by the way.
Watch it.
Probably pretty tasty.
Love a pumpkin spice.
Okay.
Pumpkin spice sounds like the cheap drugs that they buy on the streets of Manchester. There's a spice epidemic and people are out of their minds.
I need a bag of pumpkin spice.
Give me the spice.
15 quid get you 2 pumpkin spice.
2 for 10. Anthony, check this out. Brian, look at this video. This should be utterly illegal. This is sold in Dunkin' Donuts?
Just give me one second. The link in the notes goes to Mexican aliens. I just need to find the
my
I like
God.
that too.
Harrington, once again, epic fail.
I'm gonna clear this up.
No, it's quite all right. Let's just rip on Harrington for a bit.
It's
I deserve it.
No, you do. No, this is wild. Wait till you see the contents of it. But I will say this, you Americans, you do love a pumpkin-themed anything when it gets to this time of the year.
Yeah. I can't lie. I'm a basic white chick pretty much. In the fall time, I like pumpkin spice and pumpkin patches, and I'm a big fall guy.
I don't mind a pumpkin patch. You know what I mean? But pumpkin this, pumpkin that, and all the rest of it. Pumpkin's not
really
even
just
good.
coffee. Like
It's not good.
The taste, like as far as like the pumpkin flavored everything, I only like the pumpkin spice flavored lattes. Like that's about it. But if you could get them all year, I'd hate them. I think it's only.
I was going to say
like the McRib. Like nobody likes McRibs. It's only
if pumpkins were any good, they wouldn't be just thrown out once a year on people's porches. Anyway, look at this.
My friends, this is a pumpkin swirl frozen coffee. Who the thought it was a good idea to put this on the menu? Because this drink has 185 grams of sugar in here. How much is it? It's this much. It's 46 teaspoons of sugar. To give you another perspective, the amount of sugar in there is equal to 14 glazed donuts. Plus, there's no pumpkin in here. It's artificial flavors. There's 12 mentions of sugar and high fructose corn syrup in here. There's 930 calories and 194 carbs. 2/3 of us are already type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. If America runs on this, we're
2/3 of Americans, I never knew that. That's kind of shocking if true. 2/3 of Americans diabetic, and then they're out there. What did he say? 100 and how many? 85?
185.
That's a lot. That's insane.
It's almost 1,000 calories in a drink.
1,000 calories in a drink. And this is the thing, because
insane.
People don't know. You know what I mean? You look at a drink like that and you think, oh, this is delicious, this is tasty, get one of them. You don't think in your wildest dreams that there's going to be that amount of sugar, calories, and ultimately damage done to your body. And a lot of the time it's kids or it's people that are overweight and they don't know. You know what I mean? Because the lack of education is why they're doing it. Oftentimes, if they knew, they might think twice. But that's just insane, man.
Well, think about this. It's almost 1,000, just for a round number. Say that's 1,000 calorie drink. It's not counting your meals. So even if you say you're a middle-aged stay-at-home mom, you got a couple kids, you run your kids to school, and you're doing your shit throughout the day. You get one of these drinks in the morning after you drop the kids off. You spend all day meal prepping. You're eating super healthy. You get your one workout in. You're still not going to be at a calorie deficit. Like you could eat super healthy and work out every day, and chances are, as a normal, average, everyday person, you're not going to burn more calories than you drank in that drink.
Burning 1,000 calories, that takes a lot.
It's hard.
Takes a lot. Like I'll go on like a 4-mile run and like nice and steady because of my knees. Obviously they're fake, so I don't pound it. And the slower you go, the more calories you burn because obviously you're moving for a longer time.
Right.
But I'll do like a 4-mile run, nice and steady, and that's about 430 calories, something like that. So you got to do 10 miles to burn off one non-pumpkin spice latte.
One drink, yeah. So like, if you're just an average everyday person, just getting even if you worked out every single day, getting a decent workout in and ate that's not counting whatever you're eating the rest of the day. I bet in training camp, I bet I burn probably 1,200 calories a day. And that's like
with the workouts.
Yeah. That's training my absolute ass off. Like, and I'm dead. There's an average person isn't.
That's a pumpkin spice latte.
That's a drink. Yeah. That's one drink. And
there
so
you
like,
go, boom, done.
That's crazy to me. Like, I don't think people I guess my whole point is people don't realize you can do everything right and one thing can f it up. Like your morning coffee could f up everything you're doing. Like,
yeah, but that's not a coffee. That's a dessert, and I can only imagine how sweet that tastes.
But they're thinking about it like as just a morning coffee. I get my morning coffee. I'll get my workout in. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna eat this super healthy breakfast, couple eggs, and then 6 months down the road, you do that every day. You're like, fuck, I haven't lost any weight at all. This workout shit doesn't work. This diet shit doesn't work. Like, why is it 1,000 calorie drink that you had in the morning?
Why am I still putting on weight? Like Callum, when we first moved here, and by the way, this is not a knock on America, right? Before you all start, but when we moved here, Callum, and it took us a while to figure out. And again, you know, I mean, it should have been blatantly obvious. Callum started getting a bit podgy. You know what I mean? When he was a kid. And it's because, you know, listen, I know you shouldn't have Sprite. But he's a kid and we're going out for dinner or whatever. And, and they come around, hey, can I get a Sprite? Dad? Yeah, go on, you can get a Sprite. So they fill up and the drinks are always gigantic. Right. You know what I mean? And then he'll drink half of it. And then they just walk around and they just keep filling it up. And we suddenly realized, hold on a minute, he's having about 1,200 calories of Sprite every goddamn minute because they keep filling it up. So now we stopped all that shit, you know what I mean? But it's mental. You got to realize the amount of calories. Well, when you take calories on, look, listen, I'm not going to say don't drink calories. That's what you should aim to do. Certainly if you're on a diet, if you're trying to lose weight, don't drink calories. The only calories that I necessarily do drink, I'll be honest, alcohol, right? But there's a give and take. You know what I mean? You take the calories on, but you get a little buzz. There's a relaxation to it. Right. I don't necessarily drink soda or any of that shit because number one, it's going to rot your teeth and it's just going to give you fucking diabetes and make you way overweight and undermine everything.
Well, and I was just looking at this drink I got right here. I do drink a fair bit of energy drinks, which I've tried to. I actually used to drink a lot of Red Bulls. I was really big into Red Bull, but it started changing they were tracking my heart rate for a long time, trying to figure out my conditioning issues that I was having a while back. My conditioning issues almost completely shored themselves up when I stopped drinking Red Bull because it raised my heart rate. It raised my body temperature was 3 degrees warmer or 2 degrees warmer, something like that. It was measurable. My body temperature was warmer, my heart rate was higher. And when I stopped drinking Red Bulls, it actually really cleared all that up for the most part. But even these little white monsters that I always drink, they're only 10 calories. So
yeah. I mean, listen, when I'm commentating, I go through the monsters pretty hard. When I'm commentating, because I want to keep the energy. And then when I jump in the car and drive home, I'm pounding another monster. I have about 4 coffees through the day because you need that caffeine. You want to keep the energy going. For sure. It's hard when there's harder things to do.
I didn't realize how healthy these white ones are. They're actually not bad at all.
No way. They can't be healthy.
I wouldn't say they're healthy, but they're not.
No. I'm sure there's not much sugar or
zero
calories.
Sugar. There's probably a shit ton of caffeine though.
A shit ton of chemicals. Brian, just bring up on the screen the ingredients of a sugar-free monster. I bet everything ends in azide. Azorium. There'll be a lot of words we can't pronounce. I guarantee
if I was gonna get a monster sponsorship, there it goes right out the fucking window.
So carbonated water, as my dad would be happy. Say, Mark, the first ingredients: water, citric acid, ethanol, taurine, sodium citrate, natural and artificial flavors. I'll be honest, so far doesn't sound too bad. Panax ginseng extract, L-carnitine, L-tartate, sucralose, caffeine, sorbic acid, preservative, benzoic acid, preservative, niacinamide, vitamin B3, acesulfame, potassium, decalcium, and it goes on and on and on. I don't know. I'm no scientist. I'm no nutritionist, but it sounds like a lot of unnatural stuff. But still, it does taste good, and it does give you the energy, if I'm honest.
It does.
There isn't
if you really need the bump, you got to get the black and green one.
Really? Because of the natural sugars?
Do I?
Because of the natural sugars?
Yeah, if I'm real tired, I could give me a real one. I need a real one.
That bugger sugar. All right, Harrington, let's get back into MMA. What is big in the world of MMA, Harrington, outside of that? I'm looking at the notes. Obviously, we've got big fights this weekend. I say big fights. Nice card at the Apex. Are you working that one?
No, I'm not. Are you?
Damn. Yeah, I'll be there. Mateusz Gamrot taking on Rafael Fiziev. That's going to be an interesting matchup, but we'll save that talk for Thursday's show. We talked about this before, Aljamain Sterling saying that if Izzy gets a fight, then he deserves one, a rematch. Harrington, you were going to say?
I was just going to hop on and say that, that exactly that.
Well, go give me the exactly that. Would you care to elaborate?
Hold on. Let me help you out here. If you want to make yourself feel like you're needed, then when you came on and you were gonna say what Bisping said, then that in that moment you're not needed. So you need to find a reason to make it seem like you're required to be here. So you should have just made something. You should have made something else up and been like, "Oh no, that's great, Mike, but here's something else I was gonna."
Yeah, and we already talked about that, Harrington. Anyway, I was like, I'm just looking.
Just trying to help you out, like a job security thing. Because if you always pop on, it's like, actually, I was just gonna say what you guys said. Like, well, why do we do this then?
Is my job in jeopardy? I'm just finding this out now.
No, it's not in jeopardy, but that's
I'm just
solid
giving you
advice.
shit. Calm down.
Solid advice, Harrington. You want to always portray the image that you are bringing nourishment and value to the show.
That we couldn't do it without you.
We could not do it without you.
You have to bring that feel to it.
Tell me about the ESPN rankings. And you should have brought that up. See what I'm doing now? I'm handing it to you. I'm spoon feeding you the topics. Open wide. Open wide. Say Here comes the choo-choo train. Ooh.
All right. So ESPN released their rankings last week. They give updated rankings. I think every 2 weeks they have their MMA analysts come together and they vote on it. Their middleweight rankings drew a lot of ire last week. So number one after that fight was still Israel Adesanya. Where do you think Sean Strickland ended up on the list? Because as you can see, it's not number two.
Yeah, well, I know what it is because it's my podcast and we do it. But number 5, what is all that about?
How is that?
Hamilton, just jump back on just before we break this down. I want to know. So when you say there's a bunch of analysts at ESPN, who are those analysts? So who are the people? Because obviously there's a panel that make these decisions. You know what I mean? So who are these people? It would be handy to know.
So I know for sure one is Megan Anderson. I will look up Brett Okamoto is the staff writer who wrote the article, so he must be on there. Give me 1 second. I will look up the full list.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. I'm just looking at the article. Brett Okamoto, of course. Shout out Brett Okamoto. Great guy. Really.
I feel like I want to text him and see if we can get a responance from him by the end of the show and say, how did that happen?
No, please text him now. Well, I just give a little bit of the story. Yeah. You text him, take a second to do that because it would be great to have because I would actually like to know their reasoning before we disagree with it because that doesn't make any sense to me. But on the article here, it says, despite Strickland now owning the middleweight belt, Adesanya remains top of the 185-pound heap in the latest ESPN divisional rankings. Strickland moves up in the top 10, but he remains far from the top. Among the other divisions that saw some upheaval is Rose Namajunas. Okay, nothing to do with that. It is kind of crazy because, look, listen, I can understand why some people may say, I think Israel Adesanya is a better martial artist because maybe he can do some moves and maybe his reflexes are faster and he's got some amazing kicks and all the rest of it. But what it comes down to is being effective in a fight, being able to beat the other person in a fight. This isn't a ranking for style points. This isn't a technique standpoint. This is the fighter's ability. And Sean,
how effective is he?
How you're effective. And Sean clearly showed 4 rounds to 1, almost finished him in the first. It's crazy. He was clearly the better fighter that night. Who knows? Maybe the rematch is different. Maybe. But as of right now, the facts are the facts. And Sean Strickland, without a question, without a shadow of a doubt, should be sitting nice and comfortable at the top of that perch, on his lofty perch, wearing the crown as the number 1.
Well, and to not even, so maybe you feel like Izzy had a bad night. Maybe you feel like he had the worst night of his life. And Brett
Harrington, while we talk, sorry, Anthony, I was going to Google it. Just look it up, Harrington. If you can Google who the panel is. Sorry, Anthony.
No, you're fine.
Go on.
But even if you believe that, okay, whatever. Adesanya had a really bad night. Strickland had the night of his life. I'm still going to put Izzy at the top. You still should put him at 2. Like he's a champion of the world. Like, how do you put him in front of Duplessis? Or I do understand the argument though for the Cannonier thing because you can say Cannonier beat him unless you watched it, and then that's a different story. But I thought Cannonier won that fight, I thought Sean Strickland won that fight against Cannonier. But either way, it was really close. So I'm sure some people will say, well, Cannonier has a win over him. Doesn't matter. Sean Strickland has the belt.
And that's not the conversation we're having because the reality is you're only as good as your last fight, right? Izzy's last fight was garbage. It was garbage. It
this
was.
Is where
he
they're
never
currently
showed up.
ranked. Not like Cannonier beat him a year ago. Like the current rankings that means the champion is number 1.
So here's Harrington. It's Brett Okamoto, Mark Rimonde, Jeff Morgenheim, Megan Anderson, Ian Parker. I know Ian. Reed Coombe, you will know Ian as well. Andres Water, Andrew Feldman, and Eddie Maisonette. Well, someone needs to take a bassinet to the head of these people. They're out of their minds. How the hell can you have Israel Adesanya still at the top of the pile? That's wild. The champion has one name, and that is Sean Strickland right now. And whether you like it or not, whether how much of a fanboy you are of Izzy and you respect the body of work, that's all well and good. But his last fight, he got beat 4-1.
Right.
And you got to give Sean Strickland his due. He deserves that.
You know, I was really hoping Brett Okamoto was going to answer because I guarantee he's got to agree with it or disagree with it. I bet he has a fantastic answer.
Yeah, I'm going to text someone right now. You just talk a second, please.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't. It's just the whole thing is weird. It's what like I think the best way of saying is you're only as good as your last fight. Like it's not necessarily. I don't even know. I don't know how you win the title and you're not ranked number 1 in your division. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Brian, get the tinfoil. It's a conspiracy, bro. It is a conspiracy. Sean's too popular. They're coming for him. They're trying to silence him. Okay. They're coming after him. The mainstream media are coming for Sean Strickland.
I'm just sitting here agreeing.
Russell Brand.
Please preach.
Well, there's also is just something suspect about the way the rankings broke out because Jared Cannonier is above Sean Strickland. So it's like, if you're telling me you can't base these rankings off of one night's performance, you're still going to put Jared Cannonier, a contender, over the champion when those two fought and it was razor close. Like a lot of people think Sean Strickland should have won a split decision there, even though Jared Cannonier did get the win. So it's crazy to give Cannonier that bump and not Strickland over Adesanya.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I guess if we're looking at it from that perspective, if that's the criteria, and I'm assuming you've got Brett, we would have Jared at 1, Sean at 2. I don't know.
It's a fair. This is why I like Brett Okamoto and why he is the person that he is in the position that he has, because he makes things make sense. He doesn't just do things willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand the concept.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
It's one of the most unique ranking situations we've ever had. Basically, Sean beat Izzy, but that is his only top 5 win ever. He just lost to Jared. So if you're arguing Sean is above Izzy, it's the same to argue that Jared should be over Sean.
Yeah, we said that, yeah.
And Izzy beat Jared. Jared lost to Rob. Izzy beat Rob twice. In a nutshell, Izzy's record in the recent years still is better than Sean's, even considering the loss. He'd be favored if they fought again. It's like if Oklahoma beat Georgia in football this week, would they get all the first place votes in the following week? He doesn't think they would. And he's probably correct.
So, and there is definitely some sound logic to that argument.
That's a good word to use. Logic.
There's logic.
He used logic in the explanation.
And there's definitely sound logic there that is kind of hard to argue against.
It's hard to argue.
However,
all I can say is I disagree, but I can't tell you why.
Well, no, because I do feel that being the champion of the look, listen, we were talking rankings. Sean's the champ. It's impossible to get any higher. Everyone's vying to be in that position. I understand the logic, I do. And when you break it down logically like that, oh, great. Right? But this sport isn't about, your history. It's what have you done for me lately? You're only as good as your last fight, right? And yeah, we can hypothesize and come with an explanation. Is he still the top guy? Mm-hmm. But the reality is he just got, they always say, to become the man, you've got to beat the man. Well, Sean just beat the man and he took his belt off him and he took his title and he's the world champion and he gets to call the shots. He's the number 1 guy. Right. If I was champion, the reason I'm saying this, and listen, I'm nothing against Izzy. And in fact, the opposite. For some reason, people seem to have this narrative that all I do is kiss his ass, which is not the case at all. I've got nothing against Izzy. But if I was the champion of the world, and they still had my opponent that I just beat ranked at number 1, I would be pissed off.
Oh, I'd be throwing a fit. I'd be, and then I wouldn't care about the logical response. Like I wouldn't care. Like no way. I'd just be losing my mind. So I guess just to go back to it, I disagree, but I don't have any logic that can argue with that logic. Again, I still think that all the rest of that makes a lot of sense. I think if you're holding on to the title, you should have a number one next to your name. I don't really give a shit about the rest of the logic, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And I don't know how sound of an argument that is, but if you have the 12-pound shiny gold belt around your waist currently, you should just be number one. Whether people agree with it or not, I think that's where you should be. And then the rest of it, you can argue.
I think the expression, if you beat the man, you become the man, that trumps everything. Right. It trumps everything. It doesn't matter. You could call it a lucky shot. You could call it a fluke. You could say you weren't the rightful number one contender. You can come out with all these excuses, if, buts, maybe. But throughout combat sports, throughout history of sports, throughout boxing, right, in a one-on-one environment, it's like when Rocky beats Apollo Creed, right, and he wasn't even in the rankings. He was like some unknown bum, and they were trying to sell the American dream. Well, guess what? Did he go out there? Did he beat him? I don't know if he beat him. I can't remember. I haven't at the end for a while. But regardless, he had a good fight against him. Let's have a look. He lost. Yeah, he did. I was almost saying that. I'm pretty sure he lost. He lost. Yeah. Well, he lost. Well, there you go. He lost. It's nonsense. It's logical explanation, but that's nonsense.
Yeah, totally agree. Also, I can't help but, although we disagree with the rankings, it does make me, you know what we get mad about with these whole judges, where what the hell are they looking at? What do they look like? We never get any explanations. We never get any logical answers. I think there would be some times where we'd say, I definitely disagree with that scoring of that round and that fight, whatever fight it happens to be at the time. If they gave us an explanation, though, I think we would all feel better about it. I think a lot of times, like, if you can give me your logic or your thought process, what were you looking at? What did you see? I think a lot of times we would probably all shut up. It's the fact that they run and hide and won't give anybody any answers. If you explained yourself, even if I disagree with it, I can respect the fact that you had a thought process behind it. I disagree with where the rankings are, but I really respect that it seemed like there was a lot of thought going into that process of making those rankings, which I can appreciate. And it means that they care.
Without question, that logic stands up. It stands up. I disagree with the logic. Sorry, I disagree with the ranking, but I agree with your logic. So I get it. It's they just came to a conclusion by looking at certain facts, but still, regardless, just on that topic, what you just said there about judges being held accountable, and we'd like to see some logic and some reasoning and all the rest of it. And I hate to keep banging on about when we did this seminar, but we did talk about this, because I said to, I forget whoever it was that was hosting it, and as I said, we had commission, we had judges, we had referees, and I said, well, when there's a crazy scorecard, I said they should be held accountable. They should have to explain to the powers that be, whoever they report to, how they came up with that. And they said, they do. We have a debrief every Monday or whatever it was, whatever day it was. And we do. He said, we do that. And and I'm not defending that judge, but just because the sport of mixed martial arts is so varied, and rightly or wrongly, people look through certain lenses and favor certain stuff. Like, I think it's fair to say, and I'm not throwing Daniel Cormier under a bus, that he'll probably value some takedowns more than what a striker, being me, would value some good shots. You know what I'm saying? So even though there's still a criteria, there's still a favorable lens which certain people can look through. Now, what they did was, and I know why they did this, they did it on purpose, but they got us all to judge a fight. Myself, John Anik, Laura Sanko, Dominic Cruz, Daniel Cormier, and there was a bunch of others there as well. They gave us a fight. It wasn't a UFC. It was like two Russians. And to be fair, it was a really, really hard fight to judge. You know what I mean? It was like, and at the end of it, we all had conflicting scorecards.
Oh, shit.
DC had one. I had the other way. Cruz disagreed. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like, I'm not making excuses, but like, and we all gave passionate reasons and arguments why we felt that guy should have won. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just because the sport is so varied. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot goes into it, you know what I mean? And I'm not defending the judges or the commission or the systems in place or the matrix. Right. But as I say, we professional fighters that criticize, I mean, there could only be so many outcomes, but there was definitely differences of opinion.
Right. That's wild. That's
crazy. It is. All right, are you looking for the perfect way to start your day and improve your health, boost your performance levels, strengthen your immune system? Well, look no further. Roots Apothecary has developed a range of products that have been proven to have a positive impact on your health and performance. Roots Apothecary adaptive greens are heavily stacked with performance mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps, powerful adaptogens like ginseng and bacopa extract, a strong synergy of probiotics, milk thistle, and other botanicals that support improved overall health and performance by improving mind, body resilience to ongoing pressures. A lot of companies, they're putting out, buzzwords like adaptogens on their labels without delivering the ingredients that offer the real therapeutic potential. Adaptogens and performance mushrooms only deliver on the reputation when they contain the active compounds that these reputations are built on. Now, it's worth pointing out Roots Apothecary, they've been around for over 10 years with a function-first mentality. No chasing novelty trends, no cutting corners, no proprietary blends, no virtual signaling, and no synthetics, no bullshit. Their team has worked with thousands of clients over the past decade in every imaginable application of improved health and performance, from the busy mom to the entrepreneur to the elite athlete to the student struggling with social anxieties and everything in between. Try it out. Head on over to rootsapothecary.com. Use the promo code Bisping at checkout. You will get 40% off your first order. Take charge of your health today. Once again, that is rootsapothecary.com. The promo code is Bisping for 40% off your first order at rootsapothecary.com. Anthony, you got a lot of tattoos on you.
I do.
You got tattoos on your hands.
I do.
I saw them Saturday night. You were there. You had your suits on. You looked all slick. You looked professional. But then the hands are there. And I'm like, thuggish, right?
A little bit of a thug, yeah.
You ever been discriminated against? Have you ever walked into a place and you thought you had funny looks because of the tats?
I know you're going somewhere with this, but I have to tell this story. Yes, but I think it helps me. I think it helps me a lot. I think that people that are prone to be judgmental of people with tattoos on their hands and stuff like that. I think I get judged really quickly. Like, wow, this guy's really ugly. He's covered in tattoos. He's got tattoos on his hands and fingers.
Nobody said that.
And then once they're forced to like have a conversation with me, like if you end up in a conversation, then I think my personality is so far away from whatever their initial snap reaction to me is. I think it makes people like me more, to be honest. I think they look at me like, you thuggish piece of shit. You probably don't take care of your kids. You probably do drugs. And then they talk to me. They're like, wow, this guy like actually can have a conversation. What a really nice guy. Oh my God. You know Anthony Smith? I met him. Great guy.
Hell of an American.
I think it helps me.
I wasn't going to go that far. I wasn't going to say you were ugly or a bad father or any of those things. What I was going to say is that the reason I asked that is because a man in Australia who has face tattoos walked into a swanky hotel and they refused to serve him and asked him to leave. Harrington,
Really?
can you give us the rest of the details, please? Because we put this in the notes last week. But this guy here, I mean, when you look at that tattoo there, I mean, let's be honest. So here's the thing. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. But I think, even though we all know that, it still does happen. But Harrington, just give us the background.
So he says exactly that. He told Current Affair, we asked if we could look at the menus when they stepped into this bar. We thought they would order. At this stage, the bar person then turned around and said, sorry, I can't serve you. I said, why is that? And she said, because you have facial tattoos. He tried to explain the cultural significance of the facial tattoo and the deep historical meanings behind it, but she wouldn't budge. So he's thinking about taking it to the Human Rights Commissions, as he believes he should have been treated better. And his quote is, I'm a law-abiding ex-veteran with no criminal history at all. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover.
And he claims that they are Maori tattoos, so there's a cultural heritage.
Yeah, I recognize the tattoos.
Yeah. So he was definitely discriminated against and asked to leave and all the rest of it, which isn't correct in this day and age. And you should know not to judge by its cover. But what are your thoughts on that, Anthony?
Yeah, I think that's really shitty. Again, as a guy that's covered in tattoos.
That's why I asked you.
Yeah, I don't understand it because I don't know why people connect things that don't connect. Like, just because you have tattoos doesn't mean that you're a piece of shit. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Doesn't mean that you're not a nice guy or nice lady or whatever. I just don't know why those two things ever matter. Like, how did tattoos and your ability to be treated like an adult or like a respectable person, how did those two things ever get connected? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, certainly, I think in this day and age as well, let's remember it's 2023.
Especially nowadays.
It's not 1973, where I guess there was more taboo, what I mean? Because
the guys that had tattoos were outlaws, they were.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back in the day, they were outlaws or they were Hell's Angels and all the rest of it. And they were in a gang and there was gang significance. Tattoos are very, very popular these days. And you see them everywhere in all walks of life. I think certainly more out in the States. I mean, in England, a lot of people have tattoos, but it's much more prevalent. Certainly here in Southern California, everyone's covered in bloody tattoos. So it is very, very outdated. However, the real question is, though, I do understand, and I'm not saying I judge anyone for having tattoos, but, like that guy's saying he's Maori. He doesn't look Maori. He looks white. And I what would you say if your daughter walked in and that was a boyfriend and he's got the face tats? I'd be like, get the out of here.
Yeah, that's different.
I'd be like,
I'd serve him in a restaurant. He just can't come in my house.
You're not eating in my house. You're not eating at my kitchen. Get out.
No way.
Delete his number, Ellie.
Right.
Delete his number right now. So
have you seen this crazy person who's trying to turn himself into an alien?
Don't judge a book by its cover, but do not date my daughter. See right.
Serve that guy in any restaurant and get whatever he wants. Just he can't come to my house. So I seen this thing. Exactly. I meant to send it in the group earlier. I seen it on Instagram earlier today. There's a guy that's been spending like the last however many years of his life turning himself into an alien. Like he's removed fingers from his hand. Yes, this guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, if that shows up,
he was like a handsome feller.
Put that back again, Brian. I want
see if you can find like a before and after, Brian.
Yeah, find a before and after.
He's a decent looking guy.
Yeah. What is he doing?
It's crazy.
I mean, listen, I'm all for self-expression.
He's like cut fingers off too, so he has like weird alien hands. It's the video I seen earlier was he was talking about getting his legs amputated or something so he could walk on his knees or something. It was weird. Yeah.
Just leave it on there, Brian, because you can see on his head, it looks like he's had some kind of manipulation there. I don't know how they kind of made that ridges.
They put implants.
The implants. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and what do you think is going on psychologically for somebody that does that? I mean, sure.
I don't know. I mean, I think everyone should be allowed to do whatever they want. I just don't have to. I don't have to understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but. And he looks worse than that picture now. Like he's gone further than that.
I mean, to be fair, it's not the worst thing, is it? Because I was going to say you could argue that's self-mutilation, but people go out there, they develop terrible drinking habits, drug habits, all the rest of it. I'd
much rather have a drug problem.
Yeah, me too. You know what I mean? Good luck trying to buy drugs when you look like that. You're standing out like a sore thumb. You know what I mean? Just all inconspicuous like. I'll meet you on the corner. It's like, yeah, the fucking alien? No chance, no. I'm not fucking selling you shit.
Yeah. Oh, you thought you were just going to come and...
Yeah, you thought we weren't going to notice? Hey, E.T.'s bloody trying to buy a bag of smack again.
Yeah, like you're going to go sell a bag of weed to this guy? No way.
What is going on? Is that the same person? That's not the same person.
It is. I told you. Yeah, it is. The same guy.
Wow.
It's different now.
I mean, there's something going on psychologically there. There has to be.
Yeah, there's no way he gets any chicks.
Oh, I don't know. I guarantee quite the opposite. He will attract
just with his alien wiener out there. Just all right.
Some people like that stuff. Some people think it's cool. They think it's edgy. They think, and maybe that's his whole vibe. You know,
maybe that's weird. Anyways.
Good luck picking up the grandkids when at school. Walking onto that parent teachers association, expecting to get taken seriously. Oh, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. Just stay away from me. Oh dear. Should we talk about something mixed martial arts related? Jeez Louise. Harrington, what have we got, mate? But obviously we're going to do some questions soon and whatnot. But what have we got, bud?
Well, probably the biggest shocker on Friday. Roma Delidze actually kind of hipped me to this one. He tweeted out that he no longer had an opponent for MSG because Derek Brunson is no longer with the UFC. If you remember, his last fight was Dricus, and he's leaving on a loss.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, I did see that where it just popped up that I wonder what happened. Just maybe.
I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, obviously he was his contract had expired. Who knows? I literally have no idea. It's a shame. I like Derek Brunson. He was in some entertaining fights. I wish him all the best. Him and Delidze, that would have been a fun one. I'm not sure. He does post some funny stuff on social media. Do you follow him?
Funny. Yeah, he's funny.
He's funny, man.
Yeah. That's too bad. Been around a long time.
And I was calling out Jake Paul as well. I don't think that's going to happen, but I hope it does for him.
I hope it does.
Don't hit a double leg. Yeah, it's a shame.
Or do.
Talking of shames. Or do. Yeah, do. Yeah. Do. Just don't do what Nate Diaz did.
Yeah,
Pick
don't do
him
that.
up, slam him on his head, throw him out the octagon.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Talking of shames, Henry Cejudo's sister tragically passed away from cancer at the age of 40. Oh, God.
Oh, that's tough.
I know. And Tracy Cortez dedicated her performance at the weekend to her. That was lovely.
Yeah, condolences to the Cejudo family.
That's awful, man. It's awful. You say something, and this is really depressing to talk about. Go on, Harrington. You're going to change the subject?
Yeah, I was going to give you guys something MMA related to sink your teeth into, but I'm way more interested to hear what you were about to say.
No. I don't want to listen. It's very depressing, and a lot of families are affected by cancer. I don't think we need to sit here and go on about the doom and gloom. We'll be trying to offer a little bit of escapism, have a little bit of a laugh, give you some analysis, talk about something interesting or funny. Obviously our hearts and thoughts and condolences all go out to the Cejudo family. Go on.
So one guy we haven't heard from in quite some time, Shavkat Rakhmonov, he tweeted out on Saturday because he was supposed to fight. He was going to be in the co-main event against Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin had to pull out when he caught that facial fracture during sparring. He has not been able to find an opponent yet. So he tweeted out simply, hey, just a reminder, I'm available for UFC 295 and 296. That would be the November and December cards.
I'd love to see him get an opponent. I love watching that guy fight.
Yeah, I think we all do. I mean, he's brilliant. Yeah. What is it? 16-0, all finishes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is a son of a bee. What's this Brian saying here? What's that, Brian? Why have you 294, 295?
Yeah, those are the events.
Yeah. That's why I got to wear my glasses because these contact lenses move and I can't read. Yeah, I think he's struggling to get an opponent just simply because everyone knows how bloody good he is. I mean, there's a real potential that he's a champion in waiting. 16-0. We've seen that plenty of times from people. It's very impressive. It's not nothing we haven't seen, but the way he's beating people. I mean, last time out against Jeff Neal, Jeff gave him a real fight before he got finished in the third round. But who would you want to see him matched up next with?
Man, I want to see. I keep bringing it up, and I think people think I'm like trying to ride his nuts, and it's actually the total opposite. I want to see him. I want to see him pushed. I'd love to see him fight Ian Gary. Whether it's Ian Gary versus Rakhmonov, whether it's Ian Gary versus Jack Della Maddalena. I just want to see him pushed. I want to see him. He's asking for.
Oh, he's 17-0. Pardon me.
Oh wow,
17. Yeah,
that's a lot.
According to ESPN.
It's tough to get to 17-0.
They're making the logic. Okay, there was one fight that wasn't shown, it wasn't aired anywhere, but based on that and with the logic, we give him an extra one. No,
yeah, I want to see Ian Gary in one of these tough fights.
I would like to see because I feel like he does deserve something big. Shavkat, he's 7. And this is worldwide, not just UFC. So we got Yaroslav Amosov from Bellator, Gilbert Burns at 5, Hamza at 4. He's obviously matched up. Belal Muhammad at 3. Shavkat, Belal Muhammad.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's a really good fight because Belal Muhammad is out there and he's campaigning strongly. He wants his title fight. He wants to fight Leon Edwards. He's calling everyone out. He's calling Colby out. I think he's calling Kamaru out. He's calling anyone out, saying everyone's scared to fight me. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but he's frustrated. He feels like he deserves his shot. I saw him posting recently that, he's beaten nothing but ranked guys and what ranked people have you beaten and all the rest of it. I think Shavkat versus Belal Muhammad Have them fight, and the winner potentially takes on Leon versus Colby winner.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, actually. That's way better than what I had. I think that's great. Well, just the Ian Gary thing. I didn't even think about Belal. And then if Belal wins, then that gives him all the credit he needs. That gives him everything
for sure.
wants. That opens the door to the world.
Well, because he stops the hype train. Mm-hmm. How close do you think Belal is? Let's be honest. Do you think, because his record is very, very good lately. He's on a good win streak. He's got to be close.
He's got to be close.
He's talking a lot of shit.
One fight, maybe some circumstances, I think Belal finds himself in a title fight.
Yeah. I think by all accounts, because Leon's manager came out and did an interview with Submission Underground in Australia, said that Leon will be fighting against Colby either November or December. So Madison Square Garden or Las Vegas. What are your early thoughts on that fight?
Man, I favor Leon. Especially, he's got 2 wins over Kamaru, who has 2 wins. If we do common opponent, you definitely say Leon. I think that Colby does present an interesting problem, but Colby's done something doesn't happen a whole lot. He's getting better and better in between these long layoffs. So he's going to have a lot of new shit because those guys tell me that Colby's in the gym every day still.
Yeah.
He's going to have a different version of him. So I think it'll make it interesting for sure. But I'm leaning Leon.
Yeah, me too. I just think, given the size, given the frame, given the takedown defense and his confidence, the momentum that he's on, I'm leaning towards Leon. Wouldn't be shocked. Anyway, Thursday we will be back with a couple of guests and we will break down all the fights coming up in that weekend. But if you have a question, please send it into BYMpod@gmail.com.
And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you find podcasts, make sure you you're subscribed to 5-star rating.
Let's see that in instant replay. What movie?
Wayne's World?
No. Hold on. Liar.
Let's see that in instant replay.
Dumb and Dumber? Oh, yeah.
Dumb and Dumber. Is it Dumb and Dumber? No, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
God damn, I knew it was a Jim Carrey. Yeah, I knew it was a Jim Carrey.
Yeah. When he's in the loony bin, that is hilarious. I love that scene. It is so funny. But Harrington,
if you're listening on Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. It really helps us out on those platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel and you hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new video drops. And if you want to catch over 400 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free and totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com. Use the promo code BYM. Get yourself a 7-day free trial. Check out over 20 great shows on the...
All right. So today we have one serious question and 2 kind of silly ones. This first one is from 138 MMA.
What's up, BYM crew? 138 MMA here. And I've got a question for you today about fight analysis. Now, Bisping, you actually helped me come up with this question because I saw you in the comments on my videos the other day when you were doing your research for the Dana White's Contender Series. Appreciate you dropping the comment. Helps the algorithm. Thank you so much. But hey, here's the question. So when you guys are breaking down fights, whether that be for commentary or for the analytics desk in the back, whatever that may be, whatever your goal is for that night, what helps you guys break down the fights the most and get the most out of it for your specific role? Because for me, it helps to start just most recent fight, work backwards, go back as far as I need to. But for you guys, you have a little bit different job. You're trying to tell a story on commentary. You got to know a little bit more personality. So do you guys start with their social media, do some interview checking and then go to the fights, or do you start with the fights, work that way? What helps you guys get the best information when it comes to doing your specific job for breaking down fights on air? Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time. See you soon.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, I did. I left a little comment on his YouTube video because he's got a little YouTube page, didn't have too many subscribers and whatnot. And I was researching some guys on the Contender. And when I was looking for fights, I found a video from him on there. Mm-hmm. And, I do a little bit of YouTube and all the rest of it. And he's on there, he's giving out stuff. And we all got to start somewhere. So you like to give back. So I said, hey, keep up the good work or something like that. You know what I mean? So good to see you. Yes, thanks for sending in the question. For us commentating, it starts with the fighter meetings, but ultimately it starts with the fights. That's
right.
first and foremost. Then it's interviews, then it's social media, and that's about the gist of it, really. What about you?
I never check anybody's social media, almost ever. But I have a different job than you have, though. You know, like mine is, and and I think a lot of it has to do with like the job that you're doing. Like you guys tell a different story than I tell. Mine's a lot of predictions. Your guys is you got to know them well and talk about their game and their styles and what they do well. But mine's how did they match up directly with this person and who do I think is going to win? So, yeah, I start with the fights, and then I do like to listen to some of their interviews leading up to the fight to just kind of see where their head is and kind of what their mindset is leading into that fight. But yeah, it's always
and that's the same thing with the social media. That's why I go on there, because sometimes you can see some of the training footage. Sometimes you can see some of the gyms they've been at traveling around the world. That's why I try and follow most of them on social media. And there's some female fighters that I follow as well. Do you know what I mean? And people love to message Rebecca and go, "Did you know he's following such and such?" There's some fucking dicks out there.
Do they really?
I swear to God. And my wife just laughs. So yeah, no, the main thing is the fights. Watching their fights, seeing what they're good at, assessing their skills, figuring out their style, how they're going to match up against this person. Then you want to know where they've trained, who they're training with, what have they focused on for this fight, you know, and potentially a game plan, because some people give that stuff away. Some people are very close-guarded with that. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward, to be honest, mate. Thank you very much, Brian.
All right, so here's where the silly questions start. This one's from...
Silly questions.
I guarantee the last one is gonna annoy you a little bit.
Roland Victor?
No. That's fun. All right, so this one's from Noel Castro, and he's asking about crop dusting.
What's up, guys? Quick question for you, kind of silly one. All right, have you guys ever been in a fight in the UFC, MMA, whatever, professionally, and had a moment where you crop dusted on top of a guy's face when you guys are on the ground? Say maybe you have like a mount on him or something like that, or you have maybe you're getting ready to do a kimura or an armbar, and you're sitting on his face and you fart on him. Is that cool? Not cool? Let me know. Just wondering.
It would add major insult to injury.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever done it, but I wish I have.
Oh God!
I wish I had a story, but I'll try. But I wish I had one. I don't though.
Wouldn't it be great, like, to get like someone that's talked a lot of shit, you know what I mean? And they've made it all personal. You're locking a triangle. They've got them right there, and you just
right on them.
Oh God! Oh, you're not thinking like that though. And if like you got to try and evacuate before a fight as well. You know, do you ever find that like you before a fight, you get all your stuff on, you got your gloves on, you've got your wraps on, you've got your cup on, you've got your shorts on, you're almost ready to go, and you're like, I reckon I might be able to squeeze one out here, because the last thing you want to do is end up looking like Yoel Romero. Who has
you don't want.
I think he shit his pants inside the octagon.
I think he did. I've never had that. I have to pee constantly though.
Yeah,
it's like 100 times. It seems like in the locker room, it's constant. Like right before we were about to walk, I'm like, I better go one more time. Like they get so pissed.
I just Googled UFC fighters who shit in the octagon, and it came up here with Justine Kish.
Yeah, she owned it too.
Why she pooped herself. Justine Kish was admittedly aware of having shit her pants during mid-fight at UFC Oklahoma. Kish subsequently explained that it could have been an overconsumption of fibers that led to the unexpected defecation. Poor girl. That's embarrassing. But hey, listen.
And then she tweeted, "Shit happens."
Oh, did you really? That's the best way. You got to laugh at yourself. You just got to laugh at yourself. Fiber, though, that is the one. Do you try and intake a lot of fiber, Anthony?
Not excessively. No.
So like, you know, whenever, you know, I go through phases up and down of minimizing the carbs. When you minimize the carbs, I wouldn't say keto, but when you minimize the carbs, it is hard to go sometimes. And often you'll find yourself sitting there and straining, you know what I mean? And my wife's like, "What are you doing? You're just looking at social media." I'm like, I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go. Okay. So we take a lot of psyllium husk. Do you know what psyllium husk is? Yeah, it's basically just, I think it's fiber. It's just fiber. And I'll tell you what, it works. If you ever need, you'll have a nice, healthy deposit in the morning. That's the damn sure. There you go. And this tip was brought to you by Michael Bisping.
And this last 10 minutes was brought to you by shitting.
Just look it up, Brian. Psyllium husk, spelled with a P-S-Y. Psyllium husk. If anyone needs to go, it's healthy for you. It's good for your gut health and all that, and your digestive tract. Anyway, let's move on quickly. Last question, please, Brian.
All right. So here's a question from Phil Henning about the fights this weekend.
Hey, BYM, I have a question. I'm watching the Shevchenko-Grasso fight right now. Shevchenko's got a body triangle. Could Grasso not grab her toes and twist them right there? Break her toes and win the fight? I'm not sure she has the wherewithal right now to do it, but would that be even allowed? Love the podcast. Thanks, guys.
So, two things to say to that immediately. All right, you want to grab someone's toes, bend a little toe, bend a big toe, whatever. If you're bending toes, you're not fighting the hands. You know what I mean? You got to fight those hands. Never mind trying to bend the toe. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe small joint manipulation is not allowed, right? You can't grab fingers and start bending fingers.
Not individual toes. You could grab them all.
Like a toe hold.
Yeah. You could grab them all and try to bend them all at the same time, but you cannot grab individual. You have to have at least 3 at a time.
3 toes.
Or 3 fingers.
But yeah, the main thing is you're not thinking about that.
If you're grabbing her toes, trying to break her toes or something, and you're not doing this to fed in your neck or your hands are up, if you're not doing this all over the place for the however long you're back there, you're gonna get fucking choked. Also, submissions in jiu-jitsu is a lot of a race. A lot of it is a race. So the time that it takes you to get your hands from defending your neck or your here or whatever you're doing to get your hands, you would have to race her before she gets the choke in and finished. You'd have to get to that submission. So there's a lot of times where you have to consider the risk to reward. It's very similar with the leg lock game. A lot of times you put your own feet and ankles in danger to be leg locked while you're attacking it. The idea is that you're going to get there first and they're going to have to tap before they could break your leg. So I do think people forget that a lot of times, where it's a race. If you have to go from here to here, she's going to win that race. She's going to have you unconscious before you could ever hurt one of her.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're in a UFC fight, if you're in a mixed martial arts contest and you've got a choke locked in and somebody starts pulling on your toes, you're not going to give up the choke because you're gonna endure the little bit of pain, because 3 toes at once isn't going to be too painful.
I'm going to say break him. I don't give a fuck.
I'd say fucking break him. Yeah, I'm about to win world championship. Okay.
Yeah, break him. I don't give a shit. I'll limp out of here. But you're going.
Like sometimes you can, if they've got the 2 hooks in. I know you know this, but they've got 2 hooks in. You got the heels on the inside of the thighs, and you find the hands. Sometimes you can, if you've got a solid grip, you can let go with one hand and grab the heel and pull one of the hooks off. Then you can step over into half guard. So you can take educated risks, kind of like that.
Right.
Yeah. It's like tickling. Why don't you just tickle them?
Yeah. I just always break it. I don't care. I'm gonna win. Actually, when I fought Ryan Spann the first time, you know this. I don't even know if anyone else knows this, but when I had the rear naked choke in, when I was attacking his neck, he was belly down, and I had both hooks in with my heels like on the inside of his thighs, but my toes were like stuck, pointed out, and he kept rolling on it, and it was like heel hooking me, and it tore it was like heel hooking me. All I had to do was pull the hook out, but if I pulled the hook out, he was going to get away. So like I just made an educated decision that I don't give a shit. Like my knee is tearing. I can hear it and feel it tearing, but I wasn't willing to give the choke up. Most fighters have that mentality. So I was out for like 10 months from an LCL tear because I wasn't willing to let go of the choke to get my leg out.
and that's a perfect example, though, of what we go through and what you're willing to sacrifice to get the win. And that's why it's so good that the UFC has fighters in the commentary booth, because only a fighter, you can watch it, you can analyze it, you can be a fan and all the rest of it. But only a fighter that's done it, that's been through that, can really know what these guys go through mentally and physically to prepare and what they endure through the fight. But there it is. That's the show. We got to go. Anthony Smith.
See you later.
Let's see.
There it is.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.